How much?
How much you gotta spend?
Frank, this is more than a month's salary.
Out here, it is all about our hustle.
You really have to take us to the station.
We're everywhere. We have been everywhere for a really long time.
Welcome back to The Oldest Profession. I'm sitting here with Ty, who I met doing sex worker activism. Thank you so much for joining us, Ty.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about your background as an old pro, how you got involved in the industry. I know that you've done. You had this great line on the radio show that we did together. How do you describe yourself?
I am a whore of all trades.
Fantastic.
I do it all. You know, I started when I was 17, and
Same.
Yeah, I just haven't stopped. You know.
So how did you get started at 17?
I needed money. I was broke. I started college really early. I owed them like thousands of dollars before I could start because my financial aid was fucked up.
Oh man.
Yeah. I went to the most expensive art school in America, I think.
I'm not sure why we let 17-year-olds make decisions like big student debt, joining the army. It just seems like a lot of a lot is happening.
Yeah.
So you went to an expensive liberal arts school or like an art school?
Fine arts.
Oh, fine arts.
Yeah.
So you have an MFA, right? No. Okay.
Oh no, I stopped after the first semester. I was out. I was like, I'm making really good money now. I don't have to do this.
That's great. Yeah, you solved for money in the way that old pros in the arts have been doing it the whole time.
Yeah,
that's great. So, what kind of sex work did you start with? Was it full service or cool?
I started with full service. It was the most accessible, I think. I ended up also going into BDSM for a little bit and then dancing, but I mean, it's just really simple. It's cut and dry. You know, Backpage was up at the time, so I was just like cruising that.
Yeah. It's full service was also accessible to me at 17. How did you navigate the not being able to legally rent your own hotel room snafu that happens in those precious months before becoming a legal adult?
Yeah. Well, I've had experiences where like a lot of hotels wouldn't rent or like let me stay there until I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of them in New York do that, I think.
Wow. That's crazy. So it makes you presumably more dependent on clients.
Yeah.
So you have to find like that single dude or that guy whose like wife doesn't look at their credit card expenses.
Right.
And then they have to trust you to not rack up like a room service bill or like trash the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I was going into their homes often and it was crazy. I was living in LA. I was 17 and I was like being invited to all these gorgeous homes in the hills, like floor to ceiling windows, infinity pools, like really like specialty bred dogs.
Man, what's the weirdest dog you ever saw?
It's a Shiba Inu and I think a Husky, or no, Shiba Inu and an Australian sheepdog, I think is like the weirdest. But like someone tried to like give me that dog. Like he had it for years. I know him through this like private club that has these parties, and he's like, "Do you want my dog?"
What?
Yeah, and he's like, my dog's really gorgeous, like really well trained. I'm like, I'm not gonna take your dog,
right?
Dude.
Yeah, like what on earth was he like going through divorce or like just on the run or like
I don't know.
Did he and the dog have a falling out? Like,
I have no idea. It's like, I mean, the party is like kind of full of weirdos, but like I'm not gonna take on an entire responsibility in the form of an animal from someone else.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, no, I also don't want your kid. Like, that's not right. Yeah,
I don't want your husband either. Like, I just want the money.
Yeah, the whole thing is less responsibility.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like civilian takes on Twitter where these like civilian women are like, oh, like these strippers are trying to steal my husband, and like I danced from the ages of 18 to 21, and I'm like, I do not want your husband.
Yeah, like pro tip, no 19-year-old is trying to snag your alcoholic, narcissistic dude. We're just barely keeping it together for the hours we're getting paid.
Yeah, like I don't want your husband. I want like his health insurance maybe. Yeah. Like you guys got really good dental, but like I do not want him.
Oh, that's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about, because you've done more different kinds of sex work than I have.
Yeah.
So I've done sugaring, I've done full service, and I've worked as a waitress, which is like a kind of sex work. I think you're like trading, narcissistic supply and fun smiles for tips. Like it's not emotional labor, just at a way lower rate and with way more rules. Right.
Yeah.
Like I think if I had a manager breathing down my neck as a full service escort, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm out.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. So you transitioned from full service escort work to BDSM, and then from BDSM to stripping, and now you're currently working as a stripper here in New York, right?
No, I stopped dancing entirely, I think in February or March.
Okay, so right around when Sesta Fosta passed, actually.
Yeah, I was fired from a club for my labor organizing.
Tell me all about that.
Oh, crazy. Which I was naive to think that I would be protected in the fact that I'm freelancer and independent contractor. We sign different contracts and that I can't get fired.
Oh, you thought you were free?
Yeah. No,
to
exactly.
Talk and say what you want?
And people get fired from regular jobs for talking about organizing. They'll fire entire staffs of people and just rehire because of the risk. But I was talking about organizing at a club that I wasn't in. I was talking about organizing at a club in Brooklyn, and I was working at a club in Manhattan. And I mentioned how I had been published in, Vice and in Jacobin. I had no other writers, and we covered the stripper strike in New Orleans weeks prior, and I was we have power to do something.
Yeah, you were in New Orleans when a lot of that was going down, right?
I bought my ticket 2 days before the club I had a contract with was raided. Yeah, but I mean, we were all really fortunate to have a really good system. I think Midwestern and Southern states are much better with organizing labor than the Northeast.
Huh? Do you think it's because the competition up here is so intense, and that there's more there's more immigrant labor here? Or what are some of the factors that make organizing in the Northeast so challenging?
I mean, it's not really friendly to the working class. No one really wants to be considered working class up here, even if you are. Mm-hmm. And I grew up in New England, and I totally saw that where we were blue collar. We were a blue collar family.
Right.
And we never talked about it. There were nights where the lights were off, and we were just no, it's, we're doing well, and we weren't.
That is something that's so interesting about the American pathology. And I think that something that allows for the violence of this hegemonic empire is that we really all do think of ourselves as wealthy, independent, entrepreneurial winners in a system that seems to be eating itself.
No, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw there's a lot of workers' pride within the Rust Belt. I was put into more serious organizing through an ex who was from Missouri, and he grew up privileged, but he was well aware of what was happening, how to organize, the power behind a community and a movement of people. So, and I really saw that come through in New Orleans, because it wasn't just the dancers, it was the managers, it was the hosts.
Everyone was united in New Orleans because they had this common enemy of the Disneyfication of New Orleans. Whereas I think here in the Northeast, there seems to be a management versus worker within strip clubs. It's not a united front because the external enemy is just not that clear. Yeah.
I mean, no, that's totally what it is. There's so many levels within, specifically Manhattan clubs, where certain people will kind of have more power over you, and we saw that with the stripper strike in New York, where we saw that the bartenders,
the star-tenders,
right,
the non-sex worker Instagram models who are just bad at mixing drinks.
Exactly, and within that there is this hierarchy, and of course when it's all divisible, I mean, no one's winning. Ultimately, bartenders and strippers are still workers.
Yeah, I think that even bartenders outside of strip clubs are participating in this often sexualized emotional labor. Yeah, that if we lived in a world where sex workers had status and where we could like turn down the dial on whorephobia, then they'd be more able to advocate for themselves in terms of like anti-sexual harassment and setting boundaries and getting more fair wages and like, yeah.
One of the things I really like about how they organize in New Orleans is that it's not limited to like just strippers or strip club employees. It's nightlife. It's bartenders. Yeah. Like they'll have like crawfish boils, and it's everyone who works on bourbon. Like everyone's like they have the plates are like way less for industry workers, and it's not just strippers. And I think it's really important that sex work is a very isolating industry, and we're kind of all service workers kind of have a similar struggle, and it's just really good to be united on that front. New Orleans does that really well.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. So was New Orleans like your first dip into political activism, or had that sort of been simmering under the surface, or like what activated you as like a sex worker rights advocate?
I mean, I have been active within like the LGBTQA community since I was in high school, and I was the president of the GSA in my high school for like 3 years. And so that was, I think, my introduction to activism, where we were learning how to fundraise and we were learning how to like circulate information and how to approach people about topics that are not necessarily acceptable in certain environments, such as a high school, right? Like a public high school.
Yeah. Speaking of active, mouthy, badass LGBTQ people, you introduced me to this old pro, Julie Daubigny.
She's just like, she's a bisexual legend.
I think we should all aspire. Like,
honestly, yeah, like she was working dudes that I'm trying to like get on her level. I mean, a lot to be learned from this lady. She is a super intense person, though, it seems.
Yeah, larger than life personality.
Yes.
Yeah, like all celebrities everywhere, right? You know, if you're gonna do big things, you gotta have a big personality.
I mean, like, she's French. What do you want? Like...
Absolutely. So let's set the scene. So Julie was born into court life at Versailles during Louis XIV's reign of the Sun King. She was born in the early 1670s. Her father trained the pages in court. So she's born into court life, but she's not born into money. Yeah. So she's like part of the service industry, since we were talking about that made the Court of Versailles run. So like, do we want to talk a little bit about her early life as dressing as a page?
Yeah. I mean, she was just running around wearing boys' clothes, learning how to sword fight, learning how to ride horses. She was in a very like masculine environment for the time. Just didn't care. She was going to learn how to sword fight, and she was going to like get dirty and be with the boys.
I imagine that she was like such a powerful personality even as a child. Like she's running around in boys' clothes, she's learning how to fence, she's not following the rules of the castle, and again, for those of you that don't know, the Court of Versailles was sort of like a tactic that Louis XIV came up with in order to consolidate power under the king. So he like lures all of the like petty nobles into this palace and like lulls them with like gambling and finery and like dumb table manners, and they all start like pecking at each other to see who can sit closer to the king, while in the meantime the crown is like getting all of this land and power while people are like fighting over who gets to sit where. Like, it's, you know, it was a magical time outside of Paris. So at the age of 14, she becomes the mistress of her dad's boss, the Count of Armagnac. And the word mistress is like in quotes, but like, I don't know, it seems like this was rubber stamped by her dad, right? Like this is a form of social mobility. Mistresses have social status in France.
And in other French colonies, like you see that in New Orleans, actually, where like many married men took free black women as mistresses. I think it's called plaçage. But it's like a socially acceptable like way to, you know, climb, kind of get closer to something. And then she's like passed off from her mister to another dude at the age of 16, I believe. And like that dude is just out. Like he is.
Yeah, the Count of Armagnac is like, this bitch is a little bit too much to handle. So he marries her off to this guy and then immediately sends her husband off to
like North Africa to be a colonizer and to just like collect money in quotes.
Right, be a tax collector for North Africa.
Yeah, so he's just like not really around, but it frees her in this way because she is like, she's a woman now. She's not this like little virginal girl.
Right, yeah. So once she becomes a mademoiselle, like once she becomes married, she no longer has to like protect her virtue or virginity or any of that. And she's already been doing this like kind of cross-dressing for freedom and like gender bending. Like the rules of femininity and ladiness do not apply to her.
Yeah.
So she's hanging out at the court of Versailles during this chaos. You know, she's born into it. She's probably got a lot of friends, and she takes up with a fencing instructor.
Yeah.
One of the changes that Louis XIV made to French culture and French society is that he outlawed dueling, and it was simply like a brain drain problem. He was like, I keep appointing, you know, the Baron of whatchamacallit to do task A, B, and C, and then he like takes his glove off in a disrespectful manner, and then somebody loses, you know, an arm to gangrene. Like I can't afford the aristocracy to be thinned out in this way, so he outlaws dueling. But it's really unpopular with the aristocracy that is like, we love this dumb walk 20 paces and look each other in the eye and shoot each other with guns that sometimes don't go off ritual.
Fighting's really fun. I mean,
have you ever heard of Femme Fight Club?
No, what is this?
There's a fight club for femmes. There's also a fetish community that will let you beat up a boy. It's wrestling. Yeah. So you can wrestle with a man. I've been taking Muay Thai, and I have this fantasy that makes me wet every time I think about it of just throat punching the next person that grabs my ass on the subway. And I've been practicing.
Oh my God.
And I'm a freezer, right? And it's been like a hard thing for me to learn about myself. I learned it first in a domestic violence situation, and it keeps coming up like in class. Like my brain can't convince my body that like it's chill, we're in class, you know what I mean? Like a dude will just like grab me in like a grapple thing, and my whole body is like, fighting back is futile, freeze like a squirrel, do nothing, maybe he can't see you.
I'm the opposite. I just hear something and like I see red, and
wow,
it's bad. Like every time I'm catcalled, I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Amazing. I want that.
There was this one time when I was working as a dancer in like a pretty small club, and I was doing a lap dance with another girl to this guy, and she sold it. I had no idea, like, didn't know his name, didn't know anything about him. Like, I got paid and I didn't. It's like 4 minutes of that.
Sure.
And he was trying to pull my thong aside and put his fingers in me, and I'm like, no. And I grabbed him by his mouth, and I was like, no. And he kept doing it, and I hit him, and he just straight backhanded me, put me on my ass. Every single person in the bar heard it. And it was a like rush of people to drag him out the front door and to pull me into the back to go into the dressing room. Yeah. And my boss was like, are you good? Like, do you need some ice? Like, your eyeliner's like still straight though. That's like pretty sick. And he's like, do you want to go home? And I'm like, no. Wow. I had so much adrenaline. I'm like, I need to like I can't like just sit here.
Maggie McNeil has actually a similar story about recovering from sexual assault differently. So she was working in New Orleans immediately after Hurricane Katrina, and so she was one of the only like high-end escorts in the area that was still working, servicing like, you know, the FEMA people coming in, and like these guys are going through like 12-16-hour days of just like pulling bodies out of houses. And so she was going from like one client to the next to just like holding men while they cried, like processing their trauma, and she got raped by one of her clients. And there were 3 different escort agencies working at the time, but she was the only provider. So all 3 agencies are like sending her out on calls,
Oh, wow.
basically. And they're all aware of each other. They're like
Yeah.
coordinating. It's like a chill fam situation. But she got raped and then had 3 more clients after that she just couldn't not take. And she says that like it helped her like feel like she got her power back, and like she doesn't think about that assault, but there was another assault during a time that was like less crazy where there were more providers, and she didn't feel this like moral like the calling to serve basically like as an old pro to help these traumatized, like so it was like less intense, and she experienced a sexual assault and then stopped working for the night. And she said like just sitting with herself like after that moment alone was a mistake, and like that's something that she like can't get out of her head. And so like the residual trauma afterwards, like throwing herself back into work, was something that worked for her.
Yeah. And like
it's
again,
it's an inspiring story. You should check out her blog and read her piece on that if you're interested for more information.
Yeah, like everyone will process it differently.
Yeah.
But again, like I'm immediately fight. I'm like so aggressive.
Julie Daubigné is a fighter as well. So she's in court. She's been technically married off. Her husband is gone. She's got no fucks to give. And she takes up a fencing instructor as her lover. And her fencing instructor does one of these recently outlawed illegal duels that like the king has a problem with, but the nobility doesn't. But he is threatened with arrest. And so they run off together and start performing fencing shows in like taverns all over France. And she begins her career as a performer, which of course old pros, like old pros and performers go hand in hand for as long as we're underpaying people for their art. Yeah, so she does these fencing shows, and one of the stories that I really love about her is that there's an audience member, because she's dressing as a man performing these fencing shows, and there was an audience member that thought she was like too good at swordplay to be a woman. So she whips out her tit. She like flashes him and is like, "Am I a woman now, you cowardly bitch?" It's like I just love this like balls to the wall, but she becomes like an expert fencer, and like becomes a master of that craft, at a time when, you know, I want to say
women didn't even wear pants.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like such a violation for her not to have all of her petticoats on. And she's like, bitch, I can cut you.
Yeah. And every single, like, this is one of the things I think about every time I read something about her where it states, oh, she dressed like a man. I'm like, she just wore pants.
Right. Yeah. She wore pants. Right. Yeah.
I do it almost every day.
Right. Like we are both dressed as men by these standards. And I think it's interesting because I wouldn't consider her like a trans figure, right? I would consider her like a bisexual, definitely, and we'll get into some of her female love affairs later. But she recognizes the freedom of like presenting masculine, but she's not trying to pass. Yeah. She's just like trying to let you know that she's a rule breaker, and she will not be held to the standard etiquette of women in French culture.
Also, I mean, trying to sword fight someone in a dress is probably really difficult.
Just not practical. Her and her fencing instructor fall out of love in the way that traveling performers fall in and out of love with each other all the time. And she falls in love with a young woman on the road. And her parents, the parents of this young thing, get real nervous and send her to a nunnery, but not a brothel, like an actual convent, you know, unlike some of the other nunneries that have existed in history that were DL or maybe even not so DL brothels.
Yeah.
And I love this story so much because I think it shows her determination. And like, this is a woman, so many old pros share this with soldiers, I think, in that they have a perspective of like, they see the thin veil of civility and like, you know, social mores and like table manners for the load of bullshit that they are. And she's just like, I'm not going to let anything or anyone or any of your dumb rules stand in the way of getting what she wants. So she just joins the same convent of this girl that she's in love with and they plan their escape. Do you want to take this story, because it's just so good?
So it's such a standalone story out of like her crazy life, but they have this affair in the nunnery, and I don't know how long they waited exactly, but she body snatched this like old dead nun, and I think I don't know if
she
like
steals a cadaver.
Yeah, she takes the body and then puts it in her lover's bed, and then sets the room on fire, and they just leave. And
she's like, it'll be fine for me if I just run away, because my dad knows I'm crazy and he's not looking for me. But your family might look for you, so we better set up this body.
It's such, I don't know how you get from like point A to point B. We're like, oh, like we should leave. Also, let's just set the whole thing on fire. After,
obviously,
like,
the solution.
Something. Yeah.
Yes, obviously, the solution is arson and body snatching.
I mean, obviously, France seems like a pretty crazy place. Like through a lot of history, I really like what a ride.
What a ride, man! Both like the whole country's history, and also this bitch. I mean, so they set the room on fire and they run away, and the affair lasts for about 3 months. And what I find so fascinating about this period of history, and just a demonstration of how like all of French society had no idea what to do with this woman, is she's charged in absentia as a man with kidnapping, arson, body snatching, and my personal favorite, failure to appear at court. So
that's how they get you.
Right, yeah. It's like, oh, just tack on that charge. But the reason she didn't show up, of course, is the penalty for that is death by fire. So she avoids that by running to a different French city. And then she runs away and becomes an opera singer, and continues to dress like a man, and continues to basically like make a scene wherever she goes.
Naturally.
Yeah. So there's this one instance where she's working as an opera singer. She's gotten, I think, like somebody to pardon her for like the nunnery thing, because like maybe she didn't actually kill someone, like she was already dead.
Yeah.
Like, you know, defiling a nun body. Like maybe the Catholic Church just like wasn't that powerful. Like I don't know how she made this work, but like somehow that like went away, and she becomes this opera singer. And like a good old pro, she's going from like one wealthy old dude to like another talented old dude, and like these men are like paving the way for her path as she pursues opera as a career. But she attends a ball dressed as a man, and is like flirting with this woman all night, because like you said, she's a bisexual legend. And she kisses this woman at the ball, and 3 men challenge her to a duel because they don't want to compete for this woman's affections. She must have been like a Scarlett O'Hara type of like just the like surrounded by bros, but like, you know, Julie Daubigny is not going to be dissuaded just because there's some competition.
There's 3 dudes trying to fight her.
Who cares? And how pathetic are these dudes? They all challenge her, and she kicks all of their collective buttholes in a series of illegal duels.
Right.
So Louis XIV, the Sun King, the guy that created the culture of Versailles, that even, I mean, there were hundreds, if not thousands of people that worked in this castle. Like, and also I can't help but think that he had to remember the sassy young lady that dressed as a boy, that was an exceptional sword fighter, even as a young person, that like ran away at 14. Like I must imagine that in the court gossip, she was like,
I know. The stories even now are just so
good.
Crazy. Like there's probably so many more that we don't even know about.
No, of course.
Yeah, they were just circulating through the rumor mill. And they're like, did you hear about this lesbian?
Right.
Like,
yeah. So Louis XIV hears about this woman who was like once a member of his court that beat 3 dudes in a duel.
He loves it.
And so he pardons her because Louis also has no fucks to give about the like social mores. He doesn't even care about his own dumb laws, right? That's just something for the nobles to fight over while he grabs real power. So yeah, it's amazing. So she this is the second time that she's pardoned. She's got this fantastic career as an opera singer. She's going from like male lover to female lover to male lover. That she's threatening suicide. She's like too intense. Do you know that song, like, You're a Little Much for Me?
No.
I've been listening to Lana Del Rey Spotify radio, and this is something that comes on, but there's like this song basically about this poor girl who sounds like she's got like a personality disorder.
Right.
And she's like just a party girl, where she's like, people love spending crazy nights with me, but then after a few months they're like, you're like a lot.
Yeah. She is totally this person. I mean, bisexual legend, bipolar legend, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And all of her lovers were very affluent, very wealthy, very powerful.
Some of my favorite stories about her is like when she was working as an opera singer, she beat the shit out of somebody else in her company for harassing the other women in her company that were probably wearing like actual skirts and maybe like didn't know so much about sword fighting. And then she also like beats up her landlord. So like, there's no like she presents like a real physical threat in a way that I think a lot of women generally, but like also old pros through history just don't. And I think is willing to leverage that volatile violence for a possible payout. I want to tell before we get to her last years, there's just one more courtship story that I want to tell of the man that fell in love with her after she kicked his ass. That's such a good story.
This duel happened because she literally bumped into this man. Again, she was dressed as a boy, and he was like, fight me. And she did.
She was like, cool.
Like, yeah. And then shoved her rapier through his shoulder. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, checked on him and wanted to ask, like, is he good? And he was like,
like, no harm, no foul.
Like, sorry,
these are the rules. Right.
Like, it happens. Goes to apologize, finds out he is a duke or the son of a duke.
Yeah. Future duke.
Yeah. Again, doesn't
matter. Not a bro to just trifle with.
Exactly. And then they begin this really grandiose romance, and we're friends until
that's like
death.
Out of the movie Zorro.
It really
you know
is.
What I mean? Of like, a woman kicks man's ass at sword fighting. He falls madly in love with you, telling you there are no rules. Like just And anyone that tells you like no one's gonna love you if insert anything here, right? Like if you do sex work, if you get too buff, that's something that I've heard over and over again. Or if you get something, there are no universal laws of attraction. And so there might be dude bros out there that are intimidated by your strength, your history, your big personality. And then there are going to be dude bros out there that wouldn't have it any other way. So like there's somebody for everyone. And that's something that I love about these stories. She sort of ends her life in a series of tumultuous love affairs, having achieved this status as a renowned opera singer. In her 30s, sends herself to a convent.
Yeah. Returning to the crime scene.
Right. Yeah. Can you like, thank God they weren't doing real background checks, right? Could you imagine? Like, she was like, well, the last one I was in, I set on fire, but those days are behind me. I'm in my 30s now. I'm more well adjusted.
It's unrelated to any religious aspect of it.
Right. This wasn't like an anti-Catholic thing. This was just like, I mean, you know how powerful good pussy is, right? I mean, like, who's not going to set a convent on fire for that good pussy? We don't have a lot of details or information about how she died. She doesn't, there's no known grave, but she dies in her 30s after doing it all.
Yeah. And the church was like, fuck this bitch.
Right.
Like they threw her somewhere in a pile.
Right.
They were like, the world was better off without her.
But good stories
amazing
have a kind of staying power in a way that boring cemetery shit just doesn't, right? Like maybe the Catholic Church has got like a special grave for, Saint so-and-so who had like a boring fucking life, but we're never going to forget about this sword fighting old pro. So yeah, that's just amazing. Great. So how can our listeners if they fell in love with you and your charm, how can they follow you and how can they support your work?
You can see more of me on Instagram. I think most of my activism work, my art stuff, all of like my contact stuff is on my Instagram. I'm a visual person and I find myself quite attractive. So this is the one I'm going to plug the most.
So for sexy pictures, check out Instagram. How do people follow you on Instagram?
It's clear heels with a dot in between clear and heels. Clear.heels.
Clear.heels on Instagram. That's amazing. And what an homage to Chris Rock's famous clear heels uniform.
Yes.
Yeah.
Follow for thirst traps. And also leftist politics and labor organizing tips. And I've had dancers reach out to me on how to better organize their clubs or their areas even. So if you need help with that, if you're curious about it, I'm more than willing to help. I think it'd be super cool if every single whore could just exist in like a really like nice little community and we could do like book clubs and sleepovers.
Of course, you can follow the show at Old Pro Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, and you can follow me also on Twitter and Instagram, Kaytlin Bailey. If you can't spell my name, go to Old Pro Podcast first, and it's spelled out for you. And please support the show. Review us on iTunes, tell a friend, follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, you can become a Patreon supporter. We are transitioning from weekly episodes to bi-weekly episodes. So we're going to be bringing you, bi-monthly. My producer just freaked out. Like we're ramping down. We're not ramping up. We're going to be bringing you an hour-long episode about an old pro from history that is well-researched and well thought out every 2 weeks. But if you're a Patreon supporter, you can get bonus content every week. So check us out at patreon.com/oldpro. Coming up, we are going to be talking about the decriminalization process in New Zealand and doing a fantastic episode about what happened there. We're going to be doing a whole segment on reformed whores, or as I like to call them, uppity backstabbing bitches. Old pros that went full regret and chastisement and judgment in their old age because mental illness manifests itself differently.
Who's gone rogue?
Who's gone rogue? Ho's gone rogue.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's it. Ho's gone rogue. Coming up. So please follow us and donate to our Patreon. I am doing emotional cocaine right now. I've gotten more involved in politics. I'm spending the next 2 weeks trying to get this dude, Suraj Patel, elected to Congress. If we win the primary June 26th in New York 12, so I know we have a lot of listeners in Brooklyn, Queens, and the east side of Manhattan in Midtown. So if you live in New York, check to see if you live in New York's 12th district, and check to see if you're a registered Democrat. He is running against Carolyn Maloney. I call her Baloney Maloney. She was one of the sponsors for the FOSTA bill. Longtime listeners know what a nightmare that has been. And if we elect this guy, he'll be the first person elected to national office explicitly supporting sex worker rights. So if you can't vote for him, donate. The oldest Old Pro podcast is supporting and sponsoring and paying for, thanks to the generous donations of our patron supporters, a letter writing initiative where we're sending handwritten letters to registered Democrats in his district. So that's one of the reasons why we're only doing episodes twice a month, so that I can do this self-righteous drug. I stumbled on, because my producer is a genius, Justine's amazing. There's this incredible website, Rejected Princesses, which is basically like a compilation of just rule-breaking women in history, both fictional and nonfiction, and it's absolutely worth checking out. So if you've got a couple of minutes to spare, check out rejectedprincesses.com. And again, thank you so much for listening. This has been The Oldest Profession.